Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the third episode of Cowboys Nation. Today's date is, I don't even know what today's date is. 9/19/2023. We are off to a great start here today, guys. I'm your host, Chris. I'm joined by my two co-hosts for tonight's episode, Rue. He makes content for you guys to watch while you poop. Uh, his words,
That's
not
correct.
mine. His words, not mine. What up, bro?
Correct. Correct. I'm here to give you that stuff while you're taking that nice big turd. Give you something to
And
watch and enjoy while you're doing that.
and we got my man Kyle. You already know by his username, he's coming with a hot take as he believes Tony Romo is the GOAT. So you see it right there. Kyle, what it do, my guy?
And I'm on time, man. I'm on time today.
You want to know what? Where's this at? I want to give you a round of applause. It's the
Made it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So no big fella tonight. He has something to do with his wife, so he'll be back next week.
Enjoy your night, brother. Enjoy your night.
Yes,
You will
sir,
be missed.
If you're
Yes,
listening
you
to
will
this,
be
enjoy your
missed.
night, my friend. So it's just us three today. We got some things to talk about because the Cowboys played a really good game of football this past weekend. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL. And you see the title of this video, you know what it is. The Cowboys continue to dominate because that's what they did on Sunday. They dominated against the New York Jets. So my question to my panelists, my friends, people that I have a lot of respect for, do you believe that the Cowboys can keep up this type of domination going forward? I'll start with you, Mr. Rowe.
I have zero doubt that this defense, if they can stay healthy, will continue on this dominance that they've been doing for the last two seasons and just continue to get better at playing defense. The addition of Stephon Gilmore is undoubtedly like just amazing to what it's done to the right side of the secondary. Your safety room is still, even without Donovan Wilson, looks just like it did when it left off, and it's looking like the run stopping is. We're not having the problem that we were against the run last season, at least through these first two games. Because if we expected anything out of the Jets, we expected them to run. You know, with Breece Hall, with Dalvin Cook, non-existent, didn't work. Nothing worked. Nothing has worked. And I mean, the strength of the Giants, run game, Saquon Barkley, did not work. And it's just, if this team stays healthy, Dan Quinn has put together something very special. And I think that this defense will lead them through what could be like we've been saying, a very open NFC and a very promising future for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that is a good point. So here's my thing, right? Do I think that the Cowboys games are going to look like they did these past 2 weeks? No, because the teams, like, granted, they looked really good, but let's be honest, the teams that they have in these upcoming weeks, obviously this upcoming week, I think they're going to absolutely dominate the Cardinals. I think they're going to take them back to the woodshed and beat them down, no doubt about it. But I mean, after that, I think you're going to be in for a competitive game against the Patriots, just because that's Bill Belichick and the Patriots. They're a very good. They're very good. I wouldn't say they're very good. They're annoying. That's what they are.
You can't
They're
count
annoying.
out Bill Belichick any
Exactly.
moment.
Like, I think that's a game that they'll win. But what I mean by that is they're annoying. So just like a few years ago when the Cowboys were playing some really, really good football back in 2021, and they went up to Foxborough and they gave us a game, no doubt about it. Dak Prescott had a really good game. So I expect that come that week 4 matchup against the Patriots, the games moving forward, you got San Francisco or LA in week 5, San Francisco in week 6. Those games going forward, you're going to see these games be a little more competitive. So do I think that the Cowboys can continue to dominate? Yes, but it's not going to look like it has these last 2 weeks. What do you think about that, Kyle?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's really funny that Coach Mike, got criticized for not playing the starters during preseason, but we're seeing it. We're seeing a preseason right now, man. These first 4 games, that's our preseason, and I think the only legitimate answer to your question would be injuries. I mean, that's kind of always been the thing for any kind of team. We always talk about, oh, well, they could have done this, but then this person went down, and so you know, you almost don't want to say it because just saying it, could bring some bad juju. So you definitely don't want to do that, but it's possible. Like we've seen this team deal with injuries before last season and the year before that. Um, so that's the only thing. But what I do like is the depth. I don't think we're talking enough about the depth of this team defensively and offensively.
You saw it this
Um,
weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, this team is not even at its full strength with the absence of Donovan Wilson, Tyler Smith, um, Brandon Cooks. So, and I love that too, because you saw in the Jets game and the Jets game and the Giants game, you see some players out there that we normally wouldn't see with the starters. Marquise Bell being the first name that comes to my mind. And Mozzie Smith, man, like he hasn't gone 100% yet. Osa's just been really dominating up front. So
And
we've still yet to see some players. Yeah, absolutely. So it's always, I think it's the basic answers: injuries and obviously yourself. But everything's clicking right now. I mean, what remind me again, how long did the Eagles go undefeated until they lost to the Commanders last season? They went like 12-0?
9-0. Yeah, they were 9-0.
9-0. So, I mean, that's possible. I don't know why we're not having that conversation that the Cowboys can be that team. I know it's like historically, like it's weird to think that the Cowboys would start a season 9-0, 10-0 or something like that. But you look at the strength of the schedule is very much easier to start the season than it is to end the season. So it is definitely in the cards for the Cowboys to start 8-0, 9-0, whatever it is. They look really good. And why not us? I'll say that to Cowboys Nation. Why not us, man? We got one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. Dak Prescott looking like, man, we got to talk about Dak Prescott, man. He's looking good. He's looking good. He hasn't even pulled it out all the way yet, man. He's holding back.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk about this comment. Let me pull it up again.
Bring it up.
The Cowboys run against a good team. Here's the thing. My question to you is this, Michael. So we all I didn't even mean to sound like condescending when I said that, but we all know that this is a really good defense, that no matter what team they run into, they're going to be able to hold up on the defensive side of the football. The questions were on the offensive side of the football. And the last time that I checked, the Jets have a really good defense on all 3 levels of the field. You talk about their defensive line. They got guys on their defensive line. You talk about the second level, Quincy Williams, CJ Mosley. Like they got waves of guys. The third level, safeties, corners, like that is a very good defense that the Cowboys just went up against. The only defense that's going to be better than that is the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe that might be a better defense than the Jets, but the Jets have a really good defense. But the thing is, right now, apparently the Jets don't have a really good defense. It's not that they don't have a really good defense. It's just that the Cowboys offense executed a very good game plan, and they executed it damn near to perfection. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. What's that? The goalpost moving.
Oh yeah, they keep moving that goalpost.
They keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, here's the thing now, and you gotta really go back and watch the all 22 and see what this offense did to this Jets defense. There were times where it's just like, yo, defense, you're doing what you got to do. But the thing is, the Cowboys had such an excellent counter to what they put forward. And that's the thing, man. Mike McCarthy so far this season has been an excellent play caller. And I'm ready to say this when people say, oh, well, the Cowboys had it all last year. Why didn't they get it done? No, they didn't. They didn't have a play caller on the offensive side of the football that can win you games in the playoffs. They have that now, no doubt about it. This guy's won a Super Bowl in the past. He's had success in the playoffs. This is a coach that's coached his team to 12 wins in back-to-back seasons. And right now, the Cowboys offense is clicking. Say what you want about the red zone offense, which I'll get into, and I'll have a rant in and of itself. But at the same time, what we've seen so far is that this is a really good defense. We knew that going into the season. How is this offense going to perform against physical fronts on the defensive line? And how are they going to perform against really good defenses? And we saw the other day, they imposed their will on offense. So this whole wait till they play a good team, bro, the answers that I already have are the questions that I already have in the early parts of the season are already answered because they went up against a really good defense, and that's an offense versus the defense. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers don't play defense, bro. Zach Wilson don't play defense, bro. I get it. Like a quarterback does factor into the equation, right? Because time of possession and stuff like that. If you're getting off the field, I get that. But does that take away the fact that Dak Prescott was 13 of 13 to start? They take it from here. You take it from here.
The fact of the matter is, y'all haven't seen more than like 35% of this offense because we haven't had to show you more than that. Tony Goat Romo Kyle is hit the nail on the head. This is straight up in, and I see the comment. I already know what you're gonna. He brought it up, man. This has basically been preseason for us, and if your team's looking like this through preseason, you are jumping for joy. Just look at the Raiders. And this is the regular season. And the bottom line is, man, when you go into places and you blow teams out like this, like these same people talking all this mess probably picked the Giants to win and are mad because their money line hit didn't play. I mean, it is what it is. You didn't cover, you didn't hit your money line, and now you're mad. And now the Giants suck because they cost you money. And it's like, dude, you fell for the fool's gold that everybody was trying to sell you from the beginning. That was never a game. They never had their car. And if we want to bring up that question, we are more than welcome to bring up that question. But this offense has absolutely had to show you nothing. And I can't wait till we bring up this question. And I was hoping you were going to bring up the one before that. But yes, when you talk about the play calling and how it causes your quarterback to put him in positions where he's going to have to force into areas where he's going to throw picks, you're absolutely right. Play calling absolutely does affect if your quarterback's going to throw interceptions or not. If you put him in a bad position to play, it is what it is, man. He's only got so much. I don't know how many times we saw on third down 4 curl routes and nowhere to go. And now it looks nothing like that. It looks absolutely night and day from what it used to. And what's beautiful about it is you haven't even seen this flower bloom yet. It's barely budding.
And the thing is, right, this and here's my thing with the offense, right? Let's just get into the red zone offense right now because I want the smoke with this. The red zone offense, do people understand football? I just got to ask that question sometimes. Do people understand how football works? When you have a 14-point lead in a football game and you're in the red zone, the one thing you cannot do is turn that football over, which means as a play caller, I'm not going to put my offense in a position to force a turnover. And yes, you could say, oh, well, does that mean that you don't trust in Dak Prescott? No, that doesn't mean that. But there are so many things that can happen throughout the course of a play when it comes to a pass play in the red zone, when you're trying to get aggressive and score a touchdown. When you're up by 14 points, you do realize it's late in the third quarter. If you kick a field goal, you go up by 3 scores. If you put your quarterback in a position to turn the football over, and that's a pick 6, guess what? That now changes what could potentially be a 3-score game into a 1-score game. So when it comes to the play calling, and I understand, look, quarterbacks are the ones throwing these footballs, right? It's not the offensive coordinator. So I do understand where people are coming from that perspective. But an offensive coordinator can also put their quarterback in a position to not turn the football over. And that's something that Kellen Moore did that. Like that wasn't Kellen Moore's intention last year, was let's put Dak Prescott in a position to turn the football over. Obviously, that was not his intention. But there are certain things that come along with being aggressive like Kellen Moore was last year. And not only that, being predictable, because you would see on multiple times on these interceptions last year, these cornerbacks were running the routes for the receiver. But that's besides the point. We're off Kellen Moore. But when it comes to the red zone offense, right? You're up by so much. You're up by what, 11, 14, 17 points. There's no reason to try and force the issue.
Mhm.
There's no reason. They're not going to come back in that game.
Just real quick, because I got to shut this down. Tell me this, man. If it's just Zach Wilson and that, the Jets are just hot garbage and they're straight up trash, then tell me what the hell happened to Josh Allen? Because he only got, a couple plays of Aaron Rodgers? That's what I'm talking about. So what the hell happened to Josh Allen? 3 picks, fumble, lost the game to Zach Wilson. What happened there? Explain that to me then.
I think you're right, Chris. I think you're right, Chris, because it really is. You can we tune into this game. We watch and we watch every single play. In comments like that, you understand they don't understand football. They don't understand the game of football. They're looking at it like it's the NBA where one player can take control of the game. That's not the game of football. Football is a team sport. There's so much that goes into it even before that ball is snapped. So when you see comments like that, and I just saw a comment come up saying it's Zach Wilson. Well, there's so much more to that because with or without Aaron Rodgers, that was going to be the same defense that we were going to see even if Aaron Rodgers was on the field. And the fact of the matter is that we put up 30 points on that offense means that even if Aaron Rodgers was going to play, he was going to have to put up 31 points if he wanted to win the game. So, our offense played really well. And, man, I think I'm never one to, win the coin toss and to have the offense out there first. But what a statement by our coach, man. We've never had an advantage as a coach during those Garrett days. But you talk about having an advantage and the coach setting the tone for the team to say, hey, I know how to pick apart this defense. I got to think that they knew how to attack this top 5 defense with scripted plays on the first drive, and for Dak not to throw an incompletion into his 14th pass, that's insane. That just shows you how well of an offensive play caller Mike McCarthy is. And dare I say, he's a genius. I mean, to pick apart that defense that everyone had predicted, they're going to give Dak Prescott a hard time. Even I thought there was going to be some struggles.
I did as well.
To go out there and do that blew me away. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This is the real deal.
Yeah, no, and you want to know what? Not even Vegas thought that Dak Prescott was going to have that good of a day. His over-under for passing yards was 214 yards. So not even Vegas expected a big day from Dak Prescott.
And I took the under on that too.
Well, I don't think that was necessarily a bad bet. But at the same time, this is what winning football looks like. Winning football looks, because what I would say from that offense is it looked muddy. You know what I'm saying? It didn't look flashy. To me, it wasn't high flying like some of Kellen Moore's offenses were. They made some explosive plays, no doubt about it. But it was just pretty much at every turn outside of that drive where they decided to hand the ball off to Turpin on the perimeter. I could have done without that drive. It was just play after play, just smart play call. And this, I want to talk about, they were talking on the broadcast about look at how fast the Cowboys were getting in and out of the huddle.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't understand, the reason why that's so crucial, getting in and out of the huddle so quickly, is because when you're a quarterback that does a lot of work pre-snap like Dak Prescott, when you get in and out of the huddle quicker, let's just say you take 5 less seconds to get in and out of the huddle, right? You now have 5 extra seconds to read the defense. That's important, especially when you're asking your quarterback to ad lib and change things at the line of scrimmage, like Dak Prescott does. So just time and time again on Sunday, you saw smart play call, responsible play call. That was one thing that I saw, responsible. And another thing that I do want to address is, because I know everybody wants to hear me talk about it, even though I've talked about it. Dak Prescott's near pick 6. This is what happened on that play, guys. All right. They ran that slant flat concept on the outside with believe it was CeeDee Lamb playing in the slot, Tolbert playing on the outside. It was the right read by Dak because CeeDee Lamb was open. The problem is Dak Prescott's got to get rid of that ball earlier. Like that ball's got to be out a second and a half earlier. And if it's out a second and a half earlier, that's a very good read by Dak Prescott. So the offense, that was one thing that I looked at and said, Dak, can't have you doing that. But it's only week 2. You're going to have some hiccups in the offense. But if that's what you look like week 2 against that defense, I'm sorry, I'm taking that as a positive.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if I expected him to throw a pick in any game, I expected it to be in this one. If there was going to be a pick, I was expecting it to be in this game just because the Jets defense is for real. They're a top 5 defense. You can make the argument all day long for every level of that defense. They are a great defense. I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, they were a lot of people's Super Bowl pick. I mean, it's unfortunate, and nobody wanted Aaron Rodgers more than us on that day.
Yeah,
I wanted Aaron Rodgers because I'm telling you, the result would have been the same. We would have beat them. It wouldn't have been 30-10, but we would have beat them, and it would have been glorious to be able to just mush it in the face of Aaron Rodgers because he's killed us so many times. And I don't think the result would have been any different because I don't think that O-line would have been able to protect Aaron Rodgers against this defense and against Micah Parsons. There's just no way.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the reason why the Jets were able to move the ball as little as they were able to move the ball is because of Zach Wilson's ability to escape the pocket and make things happen with his legs. I think that with Aaron Rodgers back there and the type of quarterback he is, yes, his footwork within the pocket is excellent, no doubt about it. But I think that with this defensive line and Aaron Rodgers standing back there, I think they would have gotten to the quarterback more, and I don't think the outcome would have been all that much different, to be honest with you.
Yeah, let me circle back to that offense because we talked about earlier how the Cowboys, can this dominance continue? That offense and that quick rhythm does a couple of things. One, Dak is fantastic in the 2-minute offense because he's in that rhythm. He's at his best when he's on the run and he's, not coming out of the huddle and he's moving. And so I think that's one thing that Mike probably noticed as an offensive play caller, coaching him 2 seasons already is, hey, when I take over the play calls, we're going to be in a rhythm. We're going to get this ball going. But I will say this, and I kind of got to bring us down to earth a little bit there. That's how you can stop the Cowboys there. That's how you can stop the Cowboys is if you can force Dak outside of that first read, make him hesitate, get him to his second and third read, which Dak is a great quarterback. He can definitely make that pass into the second or third read. But if you're forcing him into those decisions all game long, you put pressure on him, you put pressure on the offense. But the thing is, after the Micah Parsons fumble that unfortunately they called back, even though I'm pretty sure that was a touchdown, that was they got into that rhythm again, the quick rhythm, but they went an easy 3 and out. That was kind of one of the only worries that I had in the game, and it's a nitpick. I'll admit it, it's a nitpick because we were up by 20 at that point. But that's the key if you're a defense taking on the Cowboys is if we can cancel their rhythm and get them on a 3 and out, and their possession was only 30 seconds to a minute. You force that dominant defense back out there. That's a formula against the Cowboys that can beat them. So I do want to be a little bit realistic in that sense that it worked really well against the Jets, and the plays worked, the scheme worked. But when you go up against a better defense like the 49ers, yeah, I mean, it can catch up to you.
See, here's the thing, though, and this is why I'm not too worried about it because Dak Prescott is really good at making plays off script. I think that I think that he's better when he's out of the pocket and making plays with his like on the run, whether it be him throwing the ball on the run or whether he's using his legs to run with the football. I think Dak Prescott's even better when he escapes the pocket and makes plays on the run. I think that he's one of the better off script playmakers in the NFL. So to me, and this is where this is where I see Dak Prescott's game going. If he can keep this up throughout the course of the season. Because if you can do this against the Jets defense, imagine what he's going to do to like the Eagles defense, and they're an all right defense. I'm not even trying. I'm not even trying to hate. They're an all right defense. Dak Prescott will light them up. You know what I'm saying? So if you can do that against the Jets defense with that secondary, I feel confident in Dak Prescott having a very efficient and a very productive season. And to me, I mean, you could potentially see this guy in the MVP conversation, and that's
I'm
where
glad you brought that up.
That's where I want to take this next. With the Cowboys are going to win a lot of games this year. Chat, I know you hate us because we're being a bit cocky about our football team. Look, when you put on those type of performances that you saw, you're allowed to be cocky. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're allowed to. Doesn't mean it's necessarily encouraged to be that way, but you're allowed to. I think that the Cowboys are going to win a lot of games. I think that they might be the number one seed in the NFC for these playoffs. They might have the best record in the league come the end of the season. With that being said, and this being a quarterback award, it's hard for me to not say that there's a very real possibility that Dak Prescott can win MVP this upcoming season. I'll start out with you, Kyle, because I think you have you wanted to take the conversation here. Do you think there's
absolutely.
a chance Dak Prescott wins the MVP?
I think there is a chance. I would definitely think of Mike, including Dak Prescott in any of that conversation. It's unfortunate, though, kind of like you already touched on it. The MVP is the best quarterback award already. But I think Micah Parsons can break that, whatever that stigma has been for the past couple of years. But I mean, if you look at it, Mahomes kind of struggling, right? Throwing a couple of interceptions, doesn't have the weapons he used to have. Joe Burrow struggling down there in Cincy, 0-2 start. I mean, throw any chat. Help me out with some other quarterback names out there.
It's an NH.
There just hasn't been a quarterback that has been as efficient as he has been so far this year, besides Tua Tagovailoa. I think Tua right now leads the race. It's very early in the season, but yeah, Dak is.
I mean, just in our division, Brock's had a couple good games in terms of number wise. He's had a couple good games.
See, but here's the thing, though. Here's what I'll say about the Dolphins. They're going to get exposed. I'm telling you. I see some things in that team. They're going to get exposed. I look.
What do you mean by that? I think the Dolphins are the real deal. I'll put it out there into the universe. I think Cowboys and Dolphins are a very realistic Super Bowl matchup.
I feel like all these powerhouse offenses that are dominant throughout seasons, a lot of times in late January, early February, you see them fold, and it doesn't look like that. Those offenses don't look like that during those times. How many times have we seen two high-powered offenses come into a game, and then all of a sudden it's like we get no points out of the game, and you're just wondering what the hell even happened? Defense takes over. In that part of the year, playoff football, February football, Super Bowl, we're talking about different style of football here. And those high-powered offenses, as great and as flashy and as amazing as they are throughout the regular season, they look different in those situations.
And I think that you can get the Dolphins in the trenches. I really like the Chargers. We all know about Kellen D'Antoni. The Chargers had their way against the Dolphins. I think they ran for 200 plus yards on the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be something to look out for. I mean, look, I think I don't believe in I just don't believe in them just yet. I'm sorry. Like, they've been impressive throughout the first 2 weeks of the season. They were impressive for the first 7 weeks of last season. And then look at what happened. They were 1-7 in the last 8 games. And I understand Tua went down with injury. Who's to say that that's not going to happen again? I'm not hoping, I'm not wishing for that, but I still need to see a complete season from the Dolphins for me to look at them as a legit title contender. But that's kind of besides the point. Right now, if we're looking at early season, right now you would have to give it to Tua. But at the same time, it's still very early in the season. And I think the Cowboys are going to win a lot of games. And if they get that number 1 seed, it's going to be very hard to say that Dak Prescott isn't going to be one of the 5 people in consideration for that award. Rue, what do you think about that?
When it comes to the MVP, I believe that it's going to be Micah Parsons. I believe that if Micah Parsons plays out this entire season and keeps on doing what he is doing for this entire team in terms of how he's leading them, motivating them, showing it on the field, it's Micah Parsons for me. And I know it's a quarterback award. I just feel like with the numbers that you're going to get from Dak Prescott, and they could be very good. I mean, if he keeps on going the way he's going, getting like 225 a game, that's over 4,000 yards for the season. And if he keeps on not making mistakes like he has been throughout these last 2 games, and I expect him to continue on throughout the rest of the regular season, it's very plausible that with, 3,800 yards, 4,000 yards, somewhere along that area, a few hundred yards on the ground, which maybe not even that, it'll probably be in like the 150-yard mark for the end of the season for him for this season. It's plausible that if they're 13 and 4, 14 and 3 at the end of the year, absolutely he could be in consideration for MVP. But I honestly believe with how much this team is going to rely and depend on Micah Parsons, I think he can win it. I think he can be the very first defensive player in a long time to actually win this award because of how much he makes an impact on this team. He is the heartbeat of the team. He is the leader. It's undoubtedly, it's Micah Parsons.
But this is what I will say.
Right.
If Dak Prescott can keep up the level of play that he had on Sunday, again, you're not going to be playing defenses as good as the Jets throughout the course of the season. Like, yeah, the Niners are a better defense than them. Here's the thing. The Niners are one team that you play out of 17 games. If Dak can go out there and play like that against the Jets, there's no doubt in my mind that he can play at a very high level against the rest of the teams on this schedule. And if Dak Prescott gets up there to, let's just say 4,500 yards and 35, 40 touchdowns with the best record in the NFL, it's going to be, he's depending on what Micah Parsons does, right? Again, Micah Parsons goes out there and has 20 sacks, then you could consider it. But if he has like 15 sacks this season and Dak has the stat line that I just put forward, they're not giving that award to Micah Parsons. I understand.
But what else? Because it's not just going to be sacks with Micah. It could be picks, forced fumbles. I mean, we've already seen it. They stole that touchdown from him. That dude barely grazed him and stole that touchdown from Micah Parsons in the Jets game. I'm just like, it was like the luckiest, like, oh, you barely touched him. And he gets called back. But I'm just saying, like, the potential of what he brings, because it's more for me. He's not Nick Bosa. He's not JJ Watt. He's not just a pass rusher. He's a hybrid of everything. He's a cyclone in that defense.
Here's the thing. We can talk, and this is my thing with some of my takes. I'm not talking about what I think should happen. I'm telling you what I think will happen. And I can't, if Micah Parsons doesn't break the sack record, he's not winning MVP this year. They're not going to give it to a defensive player, something that they haven't done in a very long time if he doesn't break the sack record. It's got to be, what was TJ Watt's sack record?
23 and a half, I believe. It's 23
if he doesn't get that, he's not winning MVP this year, no matter how high of a level.
Somebody Google it, because I think it's 23 and a half.
It's something along those lines. But that's the thing. He's not going to get MVP unless he breaks that record, because ultimately he is a defensive end. So we could sit here and say, look at the impact that he has on this defense. True. But we have to understand, these writers that vote on these awards, they don't watch tape. They're not looking at what this guy does outside of sacking the quarterback. They don't pay attention to that. They don't look at the game through the way that we look at the game. So if Micah Parsons does not break the sack record, and I think he's got to break it by like 2 or 3 extra sacks to win MVP. It just doesn't happen. I'm not saying, and I hate the criteria for MVP. I'm on record saying it's the dumbest thing ever. The best player in the league should get MVP. Aaron Donald should have won MVP 2 times. Last year, I think that there was a real case for Justin Jefferson to win MVP. I would give Justin Jefferson a vote over Josh Allen, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, they give it to the quarterback on a team with a lot of wins who has the best stats. It is what it is. I'm not saying it's what it should be, but I'm saying if Dak Prescott puts up that stat line and they win 13, 14 games this year, they're probably going to give him the MVP depending on what other teams around the league are doing.
Because it is a quarterback award, you're not wrong. I just feel like with the impact that he makes, and I know that the sacks play a big role in it. There's no question about that. But because of everything else that he can do, if it's the sacks plus the fumbles plus a couple interceptions, there's enough there for me to think that it's definitely possible for him to do it. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of, I mean, if there's a line on it, put $5 on it. It might pay out for you.
Yeah. And that's ultimately, like, that's my thing when it comes to the MVP award. Like, if the Cowboys do what we think they can do over the course of the regular season, should Micah Parsons win it? I think he should. Yes. But my thing is, we got to live in reality. It is a quarterback award. It's something that you don't see often from a defensive player. I want to get into another topic about these two specific players, but Kyle, what do you think about that?
I think he could. I think Micah Parsons a great talent, and he's so good that he's breaking definitions and categories, and so it's definitely in his cards. I could see it. I could see it being a thing, being a historic thing. But I also hear you out, Chris, when you're talking about Dak, and if he does have that certain stat record at the end of the season, I could see why they would lean towards Dak being a quarterback more than over Micah Parsons, which would be criminal. But and then at that point, I mean, if Micah Parsons is that high up and he's that much considered, I mean, you could just give, it could be political at that point where you give Micah the defensive player of the year, then you give Dak the MVP, instead of having Micah take all the gold there. So it could be something just like that, but yeah.
I like this question. In the words of Chilltown, this is very good. Absolutely. Do y'all think Micah and LT will be debated by the time his career is over? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm telling you, this is going to be as heated of a debate. This is going to be one of those debates like LeBron, Jordan, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? No, this is what I mean by that. You're going to have old heads say, LT, nobody's ever going to beat LT. I don't care what anybody does. LT's the best. LT's the greatest. And then you're going to have youngsters who had never watched LT play say Micah Parsons is the better player. Micah Parsons is the better player. So, that's my thing with the whole MJ LeBron thing. How can I say a player that I never saw play is better than the other player? Sure. I saw Michael Jordan play, but I didn't see it. Like, I wasn't alive during the time, but you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be one of those things that people debate, no doubt about it. You're going to have your old heads saying, you're going to have your old heads. Their minds aren't going to change. And then the youngsters' minds aren't going to change. And I'm one of the youngsters, but yeah, I'll be staying.
But I'm interested now that we're talking about it, and this has nothing to do with the Cowboys. Chris, who do you got? Who's the greatest of all time? Jordan or LeBron?
Oh boy,
I don't answer that question. I didn't see Jordan play. I cannot answer.
But
a question
you've heard the man's name. I would expect, Chris, with all your takes, you would have one about the greatest take, the greatest sports discussion of all time. You got to choose a side. You got to choose one.
I'll go LeBron. But again, this is because
it's because he's seen him play. He's picking LeBron because he's seen LeBron play.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But that is besides the point. What do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that that's going to be something that people talk about, let's just say 10, 15 years from now?
I think that it's definitely going to be up there, but the only thing that's going to put Micah in that conversation with LT is going to be that ring. That's what's going to put him in that conversation with LT. He's got to have that. If he don't have that, he'll be known as a great football player that never got a ring. That's what he'll be known as.
He'll be known as a better DeMarcus Ware. Even though DeMarcus Ware won a ring, but you know what I'm talking about. Just like in the terms of
Yeah.
really good Cowboys pass rusher, the way that at least Cowboys fans will look at Micah if he doesn't get a ring is he was just a better DeMarcus Ware. But
Yeah. No, I
I'd
agree
say
with
that
that. I think the ring is the hugest part of it. And it's so it blows me away every single time I see a press conference or interview with Micah Parsons. He's still so young, right? Just third year in the league. But the maturity and the idea that he is always Super Bowl or championship in his vocabulary just shows you at some point it's bound to happen, in my opinion. I mean, we didn't see that with DeMarcus Ware. We didn't see that with other players, that they just put that high standard on themselves. Obviously, us as fans would be disappointed if the Cowboys don't go to the Super Bowl, but Micah Parsons holds himself to this high standard more than anyone. I feel like he would be devastated more than anyone that he didn't reach that status. And he's bringing everyone along. I mean, the moment he stepped foot into this organization, he changed the tone. And like Bruce said, I mean, he leads this team. I said it last week too. He's the face of the Dallas Cowboys. You do anything and everything you can to have him stay there, and I don't think it's going to be too much of a trouble. But yeah, but I think that's a good point. I think that ring is the biggest thing.
okay, so I want to go back to the Jets Cowboys game real quick here. Who do you believe deserves more credit for their performance in this game? Is it Dak or is it Micah? Rue started out.
I feel like they did their jobs, man. It's like when you talk about who gets the credit, like I think it started with the defense, and I think the defense set the tone just because I think that's what leads this team and like is what the forefront of this team is that defense. But Mike McCarthy did his job. Dak Prescott did his job. The offense did their job. They put up 30 points. They had a sustainable offense.
This is
They
good
didn't
radio.
they didn't punt that much. I mean, it was just one of those situations where it's like, man, everybody just did their job. You know, they didn't make mistakes. The defense led the way. If I got to give credit to anybody, I'm going to give it to the defense just because I feel like they're the forefront of the team. But the offense 100% did their job and did exactly what you would expect and what they needed to do.
So who would you give more credit to for their
I'd give it to Micah then.
Micah, okay. What about you, Kyle?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going Micah Parsons because I feel like a lot of Dak's success was due to the schemes. What's due to if you look at the throws, and we definitely got to watch the all 22 and figure out that count, but a lot of it was dump offs, right? Like it was a lot of it was in the flat. There were slants because that's what we can do now when we finally have a team with playmakers. When we got players like Turpin, Deuce, Tolbert, that you give the ball, they can get you that 5-6 yards, sometimes a first down. So I feel like a lot of Dak's success was built into what Mike McCarthy called on offense. As for Micah Parsons, man, they need to show young players that are getting involved in the game of football what he did on that field Sunday. Not only was he a menace in terms of how he always is, right, with the pressure and getting that first hit on Zach Wilson, but he has improved in the run game. Oh my gosh. The way he can contain on the outside right now and chase down a runner, I have never seen anything like that. That's what amazed me more. I know he's going to bring pressure. I know he's going to come up the middle. I know Dan Quinn's going to find spots for him to come in and apply that pressure and get the sack. But I love seeing him in that run game, just being a force to be reckoned with and seeing him jump from different sides of the line of scrimmage and that fumble. Man, he looked fantastic. I mean, Micah Parsons is out of this world. I love watching him play, man. I love watching him play. He is a sight to behold.
All right. Break the wall. That's what I got to do here. I got to break the walls down like Chris Jericho. Dak Prescott deserves more credit, and here's the reason why. Let's be honest. Did anybody not expect what happened on the defensive side of the ball for the New York Jets? I mean, let's be honest. We expected that this defense was going to have their way against the New York Jets and that Micah Parsons was going to be in the center of it. Micah Parsons did exactly what I expected him to do. And when you look at degree of difficulty, when you look at the degree of difficulty, the Jets offense was ranked 29th last year. The only reason why they won that game last week against Buffalo was because Josh Allen said, here's the game. I don't want to win this game. You guys can have this. Here's the ball 4 times. We're good. We don't want to win this game. We don't want to spoil your night. The Jets defense, on the other hand, is one of the 5 best defenses at its floor, one of the 5 best defenses in the league. And Dak Prescott was flat out surgical against them. You can call him Dink and Dak all you want. However, there were some throws that Dak made that were very nice throws that were put exactly where the ball needed to be put. You look at that one throw on the goal line when they were backed up. What they did was they brought Hendershot in motion. He ran a flat, and then CeeDee ran that slant. What that flat did was that moved that linebacker, and that created a window for Dak Prescott to throw the ball into. That was still a play that Dak needed to make, because that was a window that was only going to last for a few seconds, and then it closed. But we also can't forget about some of the plays where Dak Prescott left the pocket and made plays on 3rd down. The one to Jalen Tolbert was an excellent play. That throw to CeeDee that people called a hospital ball.
Oh yeah, the one where he flipped. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I really want.
But that had to happen. That had to happen the way it did. Like I'm not even mad.
This is the thing, right? As a quarterback, you don't expect when you throw the ball on that post that your wide receiver's legs are going to get taken out from under him. If Dak Prescott knew that was going to be the case in that play, he wouldn't even have thrown that football. I'm telling you that right now. If he would have led CeeDee on that throw, that safety would have taken CeeDee's head off. Okay? So Dak put the ball where it needed to be put. Look, it's football. Shit happens in football. Excuse my language. Stuff happens in football. You know what I'm saying? Like, some things like that happen in football. It is what it is. But Dak Prescott played a very good game. And because of the degree of difficulty in the 2 units that both of these guys were going up against, that's why I give Dak Prescott more credit for his performance, due to the fact that we all looked at this and said the defense is going to handle what they got to do. But we got to make some things happen on offense. We're going to win this game on the offensive side of the ball. That's the biggest matchup. Our offense versus their defense. And our offense showed out, and Dak Prescott was in the center of it. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You know, you're maniacal with this shit sometimes. Because I swear, the way you just twist it up like that, I love it. It's a nice way to look at it. Because the truth is, you're right. Our defense did exactly what we expected them to do against an offense led by Zach Wilson. We wanted Aaron Rodgers and that of it. When it comes to the degree of difficulty that Micah had to go to compared to what Dak had to go through, I guess, there's definitely no question that Dak definitely had to go through the harder process to win the game and to do what needed to be done to, finish it off and take care of business. But yeah, man. I mean, what do you say? it's just like, you make a good point. You make a good point.
It's really nice because there's definitely no right or wrong answer. There's no good or bad choice in there. Both of them were really great. And yeah, I hear you out, Chris. I mean, Dak played phenomenal. He played above expectations. And if we were being realistic, and I think we are, we didn't expect him to go out and have that type of game. And he was. And us watching the Cowboys year after year, we know he was kind of holding back because, and that's the exciting thing, is he doesn't have to go out there and ball out. He doesn't have to go out there and give us 400 yards anymore. He can just be what he is right now. And when we need him, and at some point it will happen, we will get in some type of shootout. It's just the NFL. Things like that happen. You're going to have a game like that where the defense is off and the offense has to come out and light up the board. We know Dak can do that. That's the dangerous thing about it, is now you don't really know which way to attack Dak. If you get him so conservative, he can do it against you. He can find the right pass. He can make the smart choice. But if you get explosive Dak, he can light up the field on you. We've seen that time after time.
I'm sorry, Kyle, because I want to address this point. Michael keeps on bringing this up against a tired Jets defense. Were they tired when they took the field and let up 13 straight completions? Were they
Week
tired
2.
then? What are we talking about, man?
From the very beginning.
they
From the
put up
beginning, they
10
were just
points.
exhausted. When the bell rung,
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, yo, we're good, man. We're tired from that game on Monday, man. Yo, somebody take over." From
after
there."
a win. After
I
a
think-
win, no
After
less.
a win?
Not like they were
What are we
coming off a
talking
loss.
about?
They were coming off a win.
If Dak Prescott struggled at the beginning of the game, fair point. Fair point. But
Sure.
13 straight completions to start the game.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
And that's another thing I want to talk about, man. The script when they came in on their first 15, bro, it's so refreshing to score points on the first drive and actually look like a competent offense compared to what we had last year with Kellen D'Antoni. It was so refreshing to say.
Which, by the way, I don't think anybody has done that to the Jets on an opening drive to start out with a touchdown since what, like last October?
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Something ridiculous like that.
And I kind of see where
Jay,
I kind of see where Michael's coming from, because I saw his comment earlier about there was 3 and outs with the offense and Zach Wilson and the offense. I get that. But Chris hit the nail on the head right there. You still have that opening drive. At that point, there's no excuses. That everyone was well rested, everyone warmed up, everyone was good to go. But the Cowboys still went down the field, scored on the opening drive, and set the tempo. So I see where you're coming from, Michael, but you're wrong. You're flat out wrong.
He's just mad. You're mad.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. So, some of this Doc hate is S tier level hating, and it's very weird and gross. I would agree. So I want to talk about somebody who's not getting enough credit, and I don't know how. With
Brandon
the
Aubrey.
monster game, with he played well. I'm not gonna
5
lie.
out of 5.
Did great.
I don't know why this guy isn't getting enough credit for his performance on Sunday. Do you guys take a guess who I'm talking about?
I'm throwing up the X, but I'm saying 88.
88. Yeah, no, 88's right. CeeDee Lamb. Bro, I'm gonna say this right now. CeeDee Lamb has a very good chance to enter that top 5 wide receiver discussion. He does. Like, he's starting to enter into that discussion. That's how well CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to play this upcoming season. I don't think we've seen the best of this guy yet. And I think that in the very near future, meaning this season, we're going to see some really, really damn good football from CeeDee Lamb. He just looks so comfortable, man. And Dak Prescott looks comfortable getting him the football. And I think with Mike McCarthy as the play caller, I think he understands how good CeeDee Lamb is. And you see he's using CeeDee Lamb the way that Dan Quinn uses Micah Parsons on defense. I think that's something we have to take into consideration. The way he moves CeeDee Lamb all around the formation, CeeDee Lamb can win from anywhere. Did you guys see what he did to DJ Reed on that sluggo route where Dak Prescott found him down the field? Yeah, that was a very good route by CeeDee Lamb on the outside against press man coverage, because people don't think CeeDee Lamb can play against press man coverage. He was in the slot. He was getting busy in the slot. They did so many things with CeeDee Lamb on that offense. And that's the thing. CeeDee Lamb is a unique player. He's not an X receiver like an A.J. Brown type or a Jamar Chase type. He's not one of those guys, which is fine. You don't need to be one of those guys to be a really damn good receiver. Cooper Kupp's not that. He's a really damn good receiver. I mean, that's I'm trying not to get too excited about certain individuals. Bro, CeeDee Lamb is like that. I've been saying this since last season, ever since that Packers game. This guy is trending towards being a top 5 receiver in this league. And man, what a performance on Sunday from CeeDee Lamb. 11 receptions for 143 yards, man. That's incredible.
He's praying for a big day. I would say that you were passing off to me just as I was saying it, but all my fantasy players, start him this Sunday. He will have a bigger game, in my opinion, than he did against the Jets. I would not be surprised, just with that defense that they have in Arizona, and the way that Dak lit up again in defense like he did last year, I would not be surprised, and this depends on Brandon Cook's status this Sunday, if CeeDee got close to that 2-century mark. I would not be surprised if he broke 200.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna say 2,000 for the season. I was like, man, look, I'm ready to jump on there with you, man. Come on, man, look, fuck it.
No, he may just put the league on notice.
I'm sorry, man. Screw it, man. Let's do it. I'm with it, man. I'm true. I was about to say, let's do it. But wow,
that would be insane.
I like this stat a lot. Let's get real messy here. Why don't we? Dak Prescott 63% on third down. Josh Allen 38%.
Dang.
Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Josh Allen. I'm just being 100% honest with you. I can't stand how much they overhype that guy. I can't stand it.
Kyle, you feel like you got some feelings on that?
Yo.
Hold on. Let's pause for a minute, because Kyle looked like you got some feelings on what you just said. Kyle, you said that, and Kyle just kind of looked at you like, did you just say that?
Rue is my alibi on this.
Is that what we're doing? After
that divisional game against the Chiefs, when Josh Allen had that great performance, what did I say to you? At that going into that season, I'm like, yo, I understand he had a great playoff run. I just don't see it from the dude though. Like there were some things that I saw that season that I was just like, I think he's regressed from the year prior, and I expected another step back last year. He took a step back, and he's taken a step back so far this year.
Man,
but go ahead.
I think they're.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, because you called me out on that. I like both of them. I think. I mean, this could go another hour, right? Allen versus Dak.
No doubt.
I think right now is the obvious choice with Dak. Dak looks really great on third down under the pressure. I think he has a really good team around him. Has a better situation around him this year that Josh Allen has right now currently. That's all I got. That's all I'll say. I mean, you really, in my opinion, in my unbiased and realistic opinion, you could go both ways, to be honest. Allen has played well in some crunch moments in the playoffs. Man, you could really go both ways, in my opinion.
And understand, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
No, you're good.
That's been a hot take of his, and I just want you to understand. Chris got feelings on it because Chris has been saying this for a while. Chris said this before last season that Josh Allen is overrated and this, that, and the third. Like Chris has been on this kick. And honestly, man, it's starting to kind of creep up on Josh because it's quiet. They're very quiet about the fact that Josh had 15 interceptions himself last season. And it's one of those situations where it's like, man, you're seeing some things come to light for them and that team. I do agree with you when it comes to the weapons. Outside of Stephon Diggs, he's got a rookie tight end, Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis, who everybody thought was going to be, everybody was really high on Gabe Davis after those playoff games, and things have just kind of trickled down and, changed a little bit. And then, outside of that, they don't really have a run game. James Cook really hasn't come together for them. Like the Bills are in trouble. And I said it before this season started. I said the Bills are in very serious jeopardy of not winning that division. Obviously, everybody's very high on Miami right now. And before Aaron Rodgers went down, I really thought that they might be looking at the third spot in that division. But obviously that has changed. But ultimately, it's like, man, dude, I don't trust the Bills. I feel like the Bills are just like one injury away. The Bills on defense are very, very limited. They're going to be one injury away from that team, like just being completely different. And like you can sit here and tell me, oh, well, what about the Cowboys? Like, what if this and that? And it's like the biggest one, obviously, is Micah, but we have depth on this team. We're not even at like Kyle said in the very beginning of the show. We're not even at full strength right now. The Bills are, I mean, basically there. And if it's like, it's one of a few pieces, and it's just like, they're already pretty thin. So it's like,
yeah,
Bills are
I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent.
No, you're right. You're right.
About the Bills though. This is what I'll say. Dak Prescott showed you how to beat the Jets the other day. What I was saying this in my breakdown on TikTok. I'm like, yo, when you're going up against the Jets, if that first read's open, dump it off to the first read. Don't try and go through your progressions because you don't know if you're going to get that second or third guy probably won't be open playing against that defense. Your first read's open, get it to the guy. If you're going through your progressions and you don't find anybody, check the ball down. That's exactly what Dak Prescott did all throughout the course of Sunday. But you want to know what he was, we already talked about Dak enough this episode. He was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive. He was conservative when he needed to be conservative. That was kind of the same thing that I said about Mike McCarthy in his play calling debut with the Cowboys. So my last thing before we check out, anything you guys want to say about the Cardinals?
I'll say this. I'll say a couple of things. One, I'll be there. So
nice.
Shout out to anyone being there. I'll be down there. And I think Big Fella's actually going to be down there too. We were texting about it.
Is.
Hold up. You said Big Fella?
Yeah.
It's a big show.
Shout out to the Big Fella.
Shout out Big Fella.
I'm unbiased and realistic, so I gotta temper expectations. I think we all feel pretty good about this game. But last time I felt this way, and honest to God, we played the Denver Broncos and we played the Houston Texans. And obviously we won against the Texans, but man, that was a really close game, closer than it should have.
Yeah.
But I just really don't see, even if Dak has an off day, even if someone fumbles, even if there's turnovers, even if there are penalties, I just don't think the Cardinals have enough talent to run away with the win. Even if we find ourselves in a hole, with all of that said, we just have so much talent to come back and win, similar to what the Giants did. So I've been playing it through my head different ways, and I just don't see a way where the Cardinals come out on top. But it is the NFL. But I wanted to share that.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get this up here again. What depth y'all talking about that Cowboys have?
It's this Michael guy again. He's just trolling.
This dude is upset. Can we know this man's team? Who's your team, Michael?
He's a Jets fan, he said.
Oh, he's a Jets fan.
So, okay, where
God
do you want me to
bless you,
start?
sir.
Do you want me to start on the defensive side of the ball? At defensive tackle, you have Jonathan Hankins, Oso Digizua, Mozzie Smith, Neville Gallimore. That's who you have. Chauncey Golston as well. Chauncey Golston's playing at a very high level. Defensive end, who do you want me to bring up? You have Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. Did I say DeMarcus Lawrence, Chet?
Yeah.
I think I did.
You can say his name again, though.
Yeah, why not say my name again? Or his name again. Do you want me to go to the corners with Diggs?
Oh, don't give him the corners.
Not the secondary.
No, not the secondary. Don't hit him with the secondary.
Do you want me to go to the safeties? Donovan Wilson, Hooker, Marquise Bell, Wanye Thomas. Do you want me to go there? Do you want me to go to linebacker? The depth's a little thin. I will say that.
Yeah. We'll give you the linebacker core.
Do you want me to go to the wide receivers? Lamb, Cooks, Gallup, Turpin, Jalen Tolbert. He had a good game. Offensive line,
Jalen
TJ Bass, Chuma Doga played very well that game.
Chuma's been playing great, and it's going to look even better when Tyler comes back.
Everywhere on that team. Bro, they got
Chuma's been playing great, though.
Quarterback, we got Coop, we got Trey.
Bats.
Man, there's so much depth on this team. Our second string could easily.
My dude is big mad right now. Big mad. You didn't expect an answer though, did you? That's what's funny to me. You really didn't expect an answer. Chris just started rattling off the whole team. I was just like, okay, here we go.
Make that a clip. Make that a clip.
He didn't expect an answer right now. I'm telling you.
Look, I'm warning anybody in this chat right now. You put some BS in the comments, I'm gonna address it. I will stop the show. And I will address it. You put
this better be a clip. Comments. This better be. Follow us on TikTok. This better be a clip.
I'll try and get this into a clip.
Shout out to the AI. I will tell the AI edit this clip.
Okay, I got to take. I just got to take a few seconds to regroup. All right, few seconds are up. Now it's time to talk about the Cardinals. We're gonna beat the hell out of the Cardinals. That's all I have to say. Rue, what do you have to say about the Cardinals?
I say that'll be one of the double-digit spreads that holds up. Cowboys are are definitely covering, and Josh Dobbs is going to be in for a rough day. Rough day. Like, I know Josh had a great week last week. God bless you, Josh. We are not the Giants. You saw what we did to them.
So
welcome to the show.
Okay, this is just a brief breakdown on the Cardinals. I will give a brief breakdown on the Cardinals. I don't know what their injury report's looking like, but one
No
thing
Buda Baker.
No Buda Baker. Thank you. One thing I do think their offense, I think some of their skill positions are underrated. Joshua Dobbs is a backup quarterback, is one of the better backup quarterbacks in football. So I will give him that respect. James Conner is a very respectable running back.
Solid.
I like some of the players that they have on the outside. Hollywood Browns, he's an above average receiver. Rondell Moore is a nice player. What is it? In your tight ends, they have Trey McBride, a guy who I really liked coming out of, I believe it was Colorado State in the draft. Zach Ertz. We all know Zach Ertz very well. And again, I'm going to have to get more into the Cardinals, but I mean, overall, I think the Cowboys should be able to handle their business with this game. But what I will say is they've been giving the NFC East a little bit of a hard time here, but I don't think that will be the case come Saturday, or Sunday, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I concur.
So let's see. We're good on super chats, I believe. Yeah, we're good on super chats. Is there any final thoughts you guys have before we bounce out of here?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good. I think I got everything off my chest for today. I wish we had a more interesting opponent for this. And I wish that I wish we would have had Ben in here or somebody that we could yell at during the show, but we did not get that today.
Michael gave us plenty of that, I think.
Yeah, Michael.
Shout out to Michael.
Shout out, Michael.
Shout out to you, Michael.
Thank
I think
you.
he was here for the whole stream, so we definitely appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
We needed an antagonist. Thank you for being a good sport. He didn't get in his feelings about it.
Yes, that is true.
And thank you guys for tuning in. You guys could be anywhere in the world, and I know this is the most generic thing to say if you have a podcast, but guess what? I'm going to ride the wave. You can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I mean, we appreciate that. It's week 3. Episode 3 is in the books. Cowboys Nation. You guys are the best. My co-hosts, Rue, Kyle. It's always a pleasure doing shows with you guys.
Oh, yeah. Always fun. And thanks for having us.
Shout out my boy John in the comments. He's killing it in there. Crazy boy.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right, my guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
I'll be good.